Welcome to the Creative Island Podcast,
a show aimed at helping creative individuals transform their passion into profession.
Each episode will share powerful strategies, tips, and practical tools to empower you to create the income, the lifestyle, and the legacy you were designed for.
We are your hosts, Adam Bowman
and Jason Pepper.
Enjoy the show. Creative Island episode number 11. We're excited to talk. We're fired up today. Sun is shining. Jason looks pretty over there. I'm just excited to talk to him every single time, dude. What the hell are we talking about today? I think this one, I know what we're talking about today. This one's a hot topic, but I want you to drop the bomb because I don't want to take the flack for this one.
No, I'm just... Today, I want to talk about lazy artists. Are artists lazy?
Clickbait.
Lazy.
Clip it.
Yeah, I know. That's a little bit clickbaity. But like...
It's a great question, though. 100%.
No, it is. And nowadays, it's easier and easier and easier and easier for artists to be extremely lazy and not do what it takes.
Yeah.
Streaming made people really lazy. Producing at home made people really lazy.
The power of technology just implemented,
and this has been happening for centuries. Like the tools have made us more reliant on the tool. Like you'll see knowledge go from human form to like the tool or AI or computers. The shift is happening now.
Yeah.
Right? We have this brutal tendency as humans to like always try to do less, you know?
Yeah. And instead of like what we said, even in the last podcast, the last couple, it's like delegating your time to other things, like giving that to other people. But it seems like a lot of people delegate to technology instead and see if they can reap the same rewards as using a human being. But sometimes it doesn't have the same output, right? Yeah. Like it's like just with ChatGPT, like using it, like there's ways to use it where it makes sense. But like at the same time, like if you're using it to write a song for you, it's like, are you like, you know, like I think that ties into the laziness. It's like if you can't write a song using some AI to like write that shit for you, it's like what? Like a comedian isn't going to ask AI to write jokes for them. There's no way. Like there's got to be some cutoff there. But like it's easier for me even to get a script generated. And I noticed myself, like I was doing that a couple times. I'm like, no, that's just like, it's not in the realm of what I want to do. And I'm like, I think it ties into the laziness too. Cause I'm just like, no, you gotta do some things.
Well, like I think, I mean, hey, if AI is going to generate a sick song that's going to, you know, kill it, like great. Like if AI can do jokes, great. And maybe that technology will continue to develop. And I know it will because that's the way it's been going since computers came on the scene. But like, I think the important part is like, it still takes the same amount of work to get to that level of success. Even though all these illusions that it's, well, I can just like make a song and throw it on Spotify and people will listen to it. It's like, you know, we talked about this in other episodes. There's no demand for your supply. Like you can make a ton of supply now and it's easier than ever to have all kinds of stuff. But it's that being said, you know, there's like the same amount of work that has to go into making something successful or making something, you know, reach more people than just like putting it up there and just parking it on the shelf and saying, great, go listen to my Spotify page, you know?
And it's crazy because, like, if you think about it, you're putting your stuff on Spotify. Spotify is like, it's a YouTube of music. I mean, obviously, there's music on YouTube, but if you put something on there, you're going up against every single person from back. You're going against the goddamn Beatles. You know what I mean? You're going against the Beatles, and then, like, who's popping today? Like the rappers of today, the country artists of today, the independent artists of today, the big labels, the big rock bands. You're going up against everyone. So if you're not at least trying to work as hard as they are in your smaller capacity, then like you're not even going to get noticed at all. Like
your ability to get noticed has less to do with the quality of your art than less to do with that and more to do with your ability to work.
Yeah, totally. I totally agree.
Like it's not even in the same world because like I explained this to someone the other day. When you don't like, you wouldn't call yourself a plumber if you like fixed a toilet like 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
Well, like I see people call themselves professional musicians that only play 2 or 3 shows a month.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? That's not that doesn't make, I'm sorry. That's not going to do it.
It's a hobby.
There are musicians out there playing 20 days a month. 20 gigs, 20 shows, whatever. Like it, and a gig can be whatever. You can do a daytime gig and an evening gig, a radio show in the morning and then a gig at night in the same city. 20 gigs, 30 gigs a month. You got to do that consistently, and then you start to get noticed.
Yeah.
But then something amazing happens when you start to work at it that much. All of a sudden, your songwriting, we call it chops. You get your chops.
Your chops. Yeah.
Right? You get your chops. Your songwriting starts to change. Your songwriting starts to get better. And all of a sudden, you're working 20 or 30 days a month. You go up against someone who's only working 3 days a month, and you're like, you've 10x them. It's not even comparable. And like, the audience knows that. They can read that.
Dude, the energy coming from it is totally different.
Totally different. So, I think a lot of artists, they sit in their basement, they make all this stuff, they put all this time and energy into making the product, but then they do nothing for marketing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but it's not working. It's like, I know, but you're not working. Like, of course it's not going to work. You're not working at it.
Yeah.
That rule in market, there's a rule in marketing called the rule of 7.
Never heard of it.
It basically states that in order for someone to be a subscriber or a paying customer or an audience member or, someone who's buying your products and services, they have to see you 7 different times, in different ways for that to happen. So, they see you in a magazine interview, they see you on a radio show, they hear you on a radio, they hear of a friend that's going to your show, they see a post on Instagram, like 7 different interactions before they go, okay, I'm ready to consume something from this. Like, I'm ready to buy their product. I'm ready to go to a show. I'm ready to like purchase or stream or do something. That means you got to do 7 times more than you think to get the result that you want.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
And it's in different channels too. We're not saying go and make 7 reels, 7 TikToks. Like, it's like, that's one channel. You got to expand your horizon over social media. And that's the one thing that kills me. Because like, whenever even I go on a project, even if it's not even with an artist, if it's with some company selling a product, and I'm like, how much money? Like, I always ask them, even before I ask what their budget is, like for my services. I ask them, what are you putting into marketing? And if it's nothing, then most of the time I don't even bother, because it's just like, I don't want to put everything into a project and have 4 eyeballs on it, because there's no point. Because if you're going to put in the effort and everything and then go 89% of the way and the last 11% you just don't do it, it's like you're just leaving the lid off of a cup of water, and it's just sloshing everywhere and everything escapes, and it's just all for nothing.
No, for sure. Music is a marketing business.
100%. Yeah.
It's all marketing. Everything is marketing. Drake is all marketing.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like what Post Malone, it's all marketing.
Yeah. Like, better example, look at Red Bull. For crying out loud, they're not. They don't sell energy drinks. They're a marketing company first and foremost. And the success of that, if you look at their timeline, it's insane. Like, people jumping out of planes. How does that have anything to do with an energy drink? You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, it's just like they use creative ways to. It's all, it comes down to psychology too and everything. But like, you can transfer that to music any day of the week and see how other people are doing things to make themselves appear whatever. To generate more leads, to generate more success, and come back to your rule of 7. If you're across platforms everywhere, you're doing radio stuff, it just makes you seem more marketable in your own self.
Yeah, no. Well, and so I want to talk about the different channels, because marketing is like,
that's huge. Yeah,
it's not necessarily about doing everything either. There are great bands on tour right now who aren't super active on social media, but they're in huge leverage opportunities. They're playing with big shows because they're doing marketing in other channels than, I think social media is great. And I think if it works for you, you'll know. And, we talked about vanity metrics on an episode that's passed, but, social media is not always the best situation. Like, yes. And what I mean by leverage is, how can you get in front of more people for one? How can you talk to one to many instead of one to one? Like, more leverage, right?
Yeah.
More leverage. Yeah. So, and social media is a way you can do that. But you have to be careful, because there are people with, big followings that have low engagement. There are people with small followings that have big engagement. So it's like, it's hard. It's really hard to navigate. But marketing could be as simple as like getting in with another band that maybe isn't around your city, or maybe they're somewhere, some other part of the world, but have a similar audience as you.
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So, and you say, well, great guys, look, we want a tour. We're ready to go. Do you have an opening act? Can we do a couple of gigs with you? Here's a demo. Here's a press kit. Can we do something with you? And, don't just do one, do a shitload of bands, don't just do one, but find a bunch of bands that are in your genre. And then, great. You're leveraging their already established audience that would buy your products and services. So it's about marketing's about just creating good leverage opportunities to connect with more people, right? To dangle your product and services out to people that might buy it.
Yeah.
So it's not just, social media is great, but if you're spending all your time on social media, you're lazy. You're lazy.
Yeah. And it takes minimal effort to start social media marketing. So it's just like, that's a good baseline to start, but you have to think way, way bigger.
Yeah. It's something that is an easy low-hanging fruit for most people, but if it stops there, like, it's making people lazy. It's like home producing. It's like, you can be a home producer all you want, but like, it's low leverage because nobody's there, nobody sees you. You're not in a studio with a producer who has connections who will talk about your product or project to other people that might give you better opportunities in the future. It's just low leverage, laziness. I want easy, I want simple. That's not, it didn't work in the past. It's not going to work in the future. No. You still got to put the work in.
And you don't, and like what you're saying before, it's like when you're like to that person who's doing, the 20 gigs a month versus like 3 or 4, you're programming that intuition within yourself. And then once that starts taking over, you're just firing on all cylinders versus like, if you do 1 gig the first week, and then it's like 2 weeks until your next one, you're breaking off the same rust you did for the first one. You know what I mean?
Well, it's just time. Like, we're creatures of momentum for sure.
Yeah.
And you want to keep the momentum going. And you can do that without gigs to some degree. Like, we can maybe chat about that after. But yeah, like,
I think the intuition plays a huge role in it because it compounds every single time you're up on stage or you're doing your thing and working, and it just gets easier every single time. So you can work way harder and it gets way better.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, like, I'll go back to like a simple example. Like, if you're a plumber, just because you go to trade school and graduate as a plumber doesn't make you a plumber. The same way as you can practice music for 20 years and be the greatest whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't make you a professional musician. What makes you a professional is the Monday to Friday, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, every week for a 30-year career. And at the end of the career, you can look back and go, like, I am a professional. Like, I did it. And it's no different in music. So the problem is most people don't work to that level in music. And then it takes them, it would take someone doing gigs 2 or 3 times a month 50 years to get the same result as someone who's doing 30 gigs a month in 5 years. Like, so it's all relative to how much you want to work. But again, what I see is there's a lot of artists and a lot of them just don't want to work. They don't have work ethic to make it.
Yeah, I think that's in every avenue. Like, I was talking to someone recently and she runs a company and she's trying to find just delegate more tasks to people for work, like, and honestly in the marketing sector too, where it's just like, and she's trying to find young people like myself to create things on Canva. And Canva, I don't know if you've used Canva. It's online Photoshop. It's really easy. They have all these templates. You mix and mingle. You put in a date. You say, oh, there's this show X, Y, and day. You make 3 different versions of it so you can post it. Super easy. And she's trying to find people my age, and she's just shitting on people my age. And I'm trying to like vouch for like young people, but like she's like, I fired 3 people in 2023 already because they just don't want to do the work. They have I have this thing coming up and I can't really do it. And it's just like, get the work done and then go fuck off. Like, it's a part-time job. Like, so it's just crazy that like, I think it's not only for people my age, like there's knuckleheads in every age group.
I like knuckleheads.
But like, if you're not on your shenanigans the way you should be, then you're gonna get fired. Someone else is gonna come in and take your spot. So like, you got to put the word in and stick your neck out for yourself in some degree, because someone's just gonna walk all over you and take those opportunities away because they're working 10 times harder.
Yeah. If you didn't listen to the last episode, I said there's a crazy statistic that like 90% of business owners fail.
Yeah.
Not because the business is bad, because the business owner is bad.
Yeah.
And is a bad business person. To the same degree, 99% of music businesses, independent artists and all this stuff fail because they're bad business people.
100%, dude. Yeah.
You know, you're a great artist, but you're a bad business person.
Yeah.
That's what's killing your business.
Yeah.
You know, but a good business person knows that, you know, you've got to do the ordinary things every day, consistency. Time is what, you know, it's not about timing the market or getting something right on a one-time
On a whim. Yeah.
It's about time in the market. You got to grind. The marketplace wants you to prove your worth.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no shortcut to that.
Yeah.
You know, you can have some great bedroom song that, you know, climbs a chart or something. And I'm not saying that that's not possible, but the probability of that is so low, it's not even worth trying. Just go out there and play shows.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is like, if you have an artist that's hemming and hawing and is like, you know what, like 50 grand would just change everything. It'd be whatever. I guarantee you, if you gave them 50 grand, they'd have no idea where to put it. But I think if you work your ass off and you realize where your budgets are going, where you're itemizing things to, by the time you get up to those big numbers, you understand, like you're like boom, 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 done. But I think if you're like, my life will change with this bursary of 50 grand and it comes in, you're just going to go you're going to go and buy the oysters and get the meat. Like, you're not going to put that back into yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think it just goes back to being lazy, and it just sucks. It's hard. But like at the same time, like I'm guilty of being lazy in some avenues, but I think I'm good at least like recognizing it and being like, you know what, I dropped the ball on this one and use it fuel for the next one. So you can fuck up sometimes and be lazy, but like recognize when you're doing it and see where you went wrong and don't do it ever again, because it's just going to hurt you. You know?
You don't want to never do it again. You just want to be really aware of the signs.
Adaptable too.
Yeah. Like you want to be adaptable. You want to be aware of the signs.
Yeah.
You want to be aware of the expectation and the workload of what it takes to be successful. Totally. And then you just measure your effort to that.
Yeah.
You know, okay, like I know that in order to be a professional musician or something, I need to be getting 20 gigs a month. That's like 15, you're not getting enough audience. Like, you're not getting in front of enough people.
Not enough at-bats.
You gotta get the bigger audiences. Yeah. So, 20 gigs a month, that could be a collaboration with somebody. You know, that could be like a radio performance. That could be, it could be so many different things, you know, but it's like you need to be doing 20 performances for audiences every month. If you want, like, you don't get to be a performer or professional musician if you're not performing. It doesn't get, like,
it's the number one basis for being a performer,
you know? But there's so many people. Like, I would never call myself a plumber because I fixed a toilet in my house one time or two times.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a plumber. I'm not even close.
Yeah.
But the musicians all over the world are like calling themselves professionals, but they don't actually perform. It's like,
totally.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's why so many music businesses fail.
And another thing under that, like we talked about Andrew Schultz when we had Sean on, and I love him. He's a great comedian, and he was talking the other day. I forget if it was on his podcast or someone else's, and he was like just mapping out his week in New York that he does for spots, and his baseline goal for a week is 12 spots, 12 shows a week. Which is, I'm just thinking
12 in a week?
12 in 1 week.
His manager must love him.
But I'm just trying to think, like, this dude is like, he basically dodged the net. Like, he went like a completely different route, which is something we can go into and like use YouTube and use these other channels. He didn't go like the Comedy Central route or whatever. So he had already understood what it took to work, but he didn't. And so once he, like, his first, comedy special on YouTube did really well, like millions and millions of views. It propped up his podcast. Everything just got lifted up. But he didn't lift off the gas.
Right.
He fucking dropped another gear and went harder. And now he's doing 12 shows a week, if that. Sometimes he said like 20 shows a week. It's like you can't miss if you're doing that much. And then the other thing he was saying, it gives you room to play along. Like if you do like 10 shows, you're like, the last 2 shows of the week, I'm just going to forget the material, go and do something else. But that could transcend music too. It's like once you have that built up and that intuition, you can really start to like find your stage presence, move around a little more, like, you know what I mean? And build that thing, because that's what people look for shows. If you're up there stiff, standing in one spot doing the one thing, that's, there's some coolness to folk artists and that who do that and are kind of more rigid. But like if you're feeling yourself out on stage, like people love that, and then your energy will bounce back off the audience, and it's just this reciprocating thing that
comes
you see.
from playing shows.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you don't
That's
just
the goal.
You don't just get that. Some people have more of that than others. I think there's a spectrum
for sure.
But like you want to be a good stage presence, and you want to sell shows, and you want to build an audience, because you're nothing without an audience.
Yeah,
like record companies, nobody wants to look at you. If you don't have an audience, they're like, get out of here. We don't want to touch you.
Because then you're not bringing value to them at all. Yeah.
It shows you're not working.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like you wouldn't hire somebody that has no track record of work.
Yeah.
You wouldn't pay them a big salary and give them all the opportunities because they've never proven it to be a thing.
And you can't buy an audience at the same time. Like that's not how it works.
There's no shortcut there.
No.
You have to build an audience. But then you build an audience in part by performing all the time. Mm-hmm. And at first you're not that good, or you kind of fumble a little bit, but then you build chops, right? Because then you're performing so much that you're just conditioning and exercising, and you're just like building these awesome chops. But then simultaneously, more and more people are seeing this development, or they're seeing these chops, and that's starting to become something that's driving people to your shows. Yeah. And then your songwriting's getting better all at the same time, and you're recording, you're on the road, you're getting new song ideas, new experiences, all of this starts to compound that makes an audience. Like it's not just one thing or two things, or it's so
experiences plural. Like
it's so many things simultaneously. So it's so important to like just get out and work. It's 7 times harder than you think it's going to be.
Yeah, which is hard to quantify
at least.
Yeah. Another thing, last thing about Schultze, he said that when he was starting out in New York, to get time at like a popular comedy club, you'd have to, in the afternoon before like it opened up, you'd have to stand outside, and I forget what they call it, but like you just sell tickets. So you're giving someone an experience already, because you're working in joke, they're doing material on the street, and they're like, and so they give someone an experience. So they come to the show and they see you on stage doing your thing. It's completely different than putting a post up on social media that no one's going to see, going to that comedy club, performing for 5 people. You know what I mean? Like it's when you give someone and you work your ass off in that way, it boosts you up. Yeah, it's simple as that.
It goes back to the leverage. Like, give me a lever long enough and I can move the earth. You know, like get in high leverage situations with more audiences. It's a lot of it's probability. You just want to maximize the probability that things are going to go the way you want it to.
Yeah.
And you're in control of that. Now, another thing, I hear some acts or some people concerned that like, but there's only so many gigs in my city. Yeah.
Make a gig.
No, but you have to travel.
Yeah. Oh,
like what are you going to do? Sit around
in
in one city and expect all the gigs to be in your hometown where you can walk to the show? Yeah. Like, get out of here. It's like, there's not enough gigs. Are you kidding me? There's like every state, there's thousands of shows in every state in the United States all year round. There's hundreds of shows in every province in Canada every month.
Yeah.
There's hundreds and thousands of shows in Europe over every month.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not jumping in those? Why are you not talking to the promoters to get those opportunities? It's like, you have to get out of where you are. You have to go perform, and you have to find ways to perform. You don't like being on the road? Why are you in show business?
It's all what it's about.
It's show business. Yeah. It's on the road. It's traveling. Yeah. It's a different life.
Like, you've done your bout in hotels, I bet, when you were in the Vegas days and traveling around, and just like it's all part of the plan.
And if you really love it, it's fun as hell,
dude. Like I still love whenever I check into a hotel and it's free.
Man,
it's like, it's one of the best feelings. Even though it's a shitty room, TV doesn't work, whatever, it's hot, it's cold. Who gives a shit?
Who cares, man? It's fun. It's an adventure. Like I didn't get to go on an airplane when I was really young.
Yeah.
Like it just wasn't for us, our family. We just didn't, it wasn't an opportunity. It wasn't an option. But so I think the first time I got on a plane, I was like 21 or something like that. It was way later, right? Or I was 20 or something like that. And I still to this day, every time I go to an airport, I just get this weird feeling. It's like the airport's the gateway to the world to me.
Yeah,
it's this cool, like, I'm connected to the entire world in this building right now, and all these planes are going different places, and so I get like really.
It's inspirational, man.
It's inspiring. 100%. It's exciting.
Yeah.
And, hotels, the same thing. I love checking into hotels. I like hotels. It's fun. It's fun kind of, I don't like carrying too many suitcases. I travel light, but I don't do a lot of traveling these days, but it's fun. And if you're a musician, that's like the life. You need to do that because those are the things that so many musicians and artists or actors, comedians are not doing right now.
Yeah.
It's going to give you the edge to just not play in that category of people. If you look at the community of artists like a big pyramid, right? And you look at the biggest layer on the bottom, and that's like the the weekend warriors, the guys that don't really gig, and they're just like, they say they're musicians, but they're, and they're probably pretty talented. I'm not saying they're not talented or they haven't worked at it in their bedroom, but like that, they're not doing anything. They're never going to make a dime from their music. Okay, that's the biggest layer.
And they're complaining the entire time about everything and how the world's out to get them.
Oh yeah, it's everybody else's fault but theirs. So totally. And then
no accountability.
Then you go a little bit further up on the pyramid, and then you get maybe the guys that play a couple times a month are a little better, and then maybe they've got a Spotify page that they're a little more serious about.
Yeah.
Then you go up another level, and then you find the people that play multiple shows that have residencies in your city, and they play the same bar over and over and over. Then you go up another level where you get people that are like going on like province-wide or statewide. They play a couple of cities, and they're like a local fun act that everyone likes. Then you go up another level, and then you start to get into the national stuff where you're playing multiple cities, multiple dates. You're on the road, 50% of the year ish, depending on, and then you go up another level, and then you're on the road even more. And you start to find where you are on the pyramid.
Yeah. And assess.
The only way to get to the smaller pools of musicians and artists is to go and do what they're doing. Go work.
Do work.
Don't be lazy.
Yeah. That's the moral of the fucking story. And it's like, I'll end with another nugget, like from my time shooting the live music stuff. And we started incorporating this year, we'll do 2 artists. So we do one, plays like 5-6 songs, and we do a little break, and then we do another 5-6 songs. You can tell immediately who has more chops, like from the first thing they say on stage. And like, that's when I realized about the whole laziness and working thing. It doesn't matter about age, doesn't matter about like life experience. It's really just how much freaking work are you putting into this? And it transcends everything. Like I'm not going to name any names, so I don't want to shit on anyone directly. But we had this younger person who went up, didn't have the chops, and it's fine. It's a great learning experience for them to realize that, I have to put more work in. But then we had some person who's a little bit older. You could tell they've been doing it forever. And just like natural, calm, addressing the crowd, told stories in between songs. And it's just like, it brings me as a filmmaker into it way more. And I'm like getting different camera angles and being inspired. And it just like, you radiate this energy when people know you're putting your life and soul into this work. And then drawing on what we were talking about the power teams, the last podcast, people will want to work for you and you make other people around you work way harder. And you just inspire, and it just all compounds, and you work your way up that fucking pyramid. And Bob's your uncle,
That's it, man. It's like, it's not, there's no secret sauce. There's no shortcut.
Yeah.
It's just, it takes what it takes. It takes touring. Like, you look at like Lady Gaga or we talked about Taylor Swift.
Yeah. T Swift, bro.
Bro, she tours like a maniac. Her tours are so big.
Yeah.
And she tours like, they're crazy grossing and stuff. But you don't think she's been on stages and slugging it since she was like,
dude, young, very young. Yeah.
But you know what? She did it at such a high intensity that, she's not 50. She's still really young.
Yeah.
Because she worked her butt off early, and she just, everything compounded, you know? And
look at Justin Bieber too, dude.
Same thing.
You can go away for a couple of years, come back and have the biggest tour everyone's ever heard of because he put in all that work in his younger years, and you just see it. Because like people still give, like he went away for a period of time because of health problems. When he came back for, I think he did like a couple of shows, it shocked the world because it was like, oh my God, this person. But it's all stems from that working and not being lazy.
But yeah, and like, I don't want to, look, as an independent artist, you stay independent when you start to have an audience that comes back for more every time you do something, right? But then a major label comes and says, hey, you've got this really big audience and we want to make some money off it too. Let's give you bigger leverage opportunities. Like let's get you on let's get you on the arena circuits.
Yeah.
Like the big let's and so Bieber's at that level where Live Nation and some of the big promoters are like, they'll go to him and say,
they're eating.
Okay, like we know you're gonna make a ton of dough because you've got an audience. So Bieber's in the driver's seat now, right? So but that's what it comes down to. Your business means nothing until you have customers, aka an audience. And your audience is proportionate to your ability to go and find new audience members and convert them to your customers, which is what a gig is.
Yeah, totally.
And if you're only getting 2 gigs a month, it's going to take you your whole life to get a measly little result.
Yeah.
But if you can expedite all that by doing a hell of a lot more than what you're doing now every month, I'm telling you, 20 gigs, do 20 gigs a month.
Yeah.
Your whole life will change. You won't need to have that second job anymore. You're booked, man. You got enough.
Yeah. Moral of the story, do work, put in work, get off the goddamn couch, go network, go do your thing. Put in work. Other people want to work for you, and it's just like it all starts with work 100% of the time. Any sector, whether you're a plumber, whether you're a musician, whether you're a comedian, whether you're an artist, whether you're a filmmaker, do that fucking work.
Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Love it. Thanks, guys. That was number 11. Let us know how we did. Comment below. Hit up our blog. We got live events coming up, so keep your eyes peeled. Thank you. Cheers.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And if you'd like to be notified of more episodes, please be sure to follow the Creative Island podcast now.
Want access to exclusive content, our community newsletter, live events, and so much more? Visit creativeisland.online today to join the Creative Island community.
See you at the top.